Really not.
Rich, you want to start them off a little bit how practice was tonight and take the question?
It was a good practice, lively practice. Vanderbilt, does some things that take some time in respects to preparation, do some good things. So a little rough around the edges with some of that, but good spirit, good body language tonight.
Is that, considering the circumstances, is that maybe even a little bit of a surprise that they can keep on practicing that way?
I think that our responsibility is to keep the mission clear, and the methods to that mission. And so they've done a good job, I think, following that message. And I think that, we've got a lot of players that feel their game ascending. I think they enjoy learning. And so I think that, makes for a good environment for practice. Bottom line is we need to go out and finish a game, win a game. But yeah, good body language. We've had good body language. We've had, very few practices where I've come off the field and not thought that the body language and the spirit of the practice was above average.
When you look back on Ole Miss, what kind of, I guess, what were your thoughts on the defense, how you guys played?
I think we had a dialed-in group for the most part. Got to give them credit. They did a couple things early in the game that we hadn't seen before that are basic in the concepts of football, and we didn't handle it. A flow situation early in the game, was an important miss. And, from there on, most of it was, just some bad execution. And I think a lot of that, again, is about the type of offense that Ole Miss has, and a little bit about where we are right now in respects to being able to respond and handle a faster game, handle a misdirection game, and do some of that. We're just not as good as we need to be to hold up consistently for 4 quarters. So it was a game of inconsistency. Bottom line is that in the name of the game came down to the 4th quarter, and basically Ole Miss scored 20 points against our defense, and we had a 3rd and 16, and we get a check down throw and have a strange play that really makes the entire day kind of a bad day for everybody involved with Auburn. Just an ugly play.
Could you talk about, Gene talked there about playing some new guys this weekend on defense, playing some new young guys on defense this weekend?
Play some new young guys?
Right, or there's some guys that haven't started.
Again, my approach weekly is to, see how guys compete and how they play. We certainly, had a couple players that had disappointing games, so we'll look at some other guys to, but they've got to go out on the practice field and show that they're ready to do that, So we played a couple freshmen last week, started a couple freshmen in our sub package, and again, we're evaluating. This is about guys being evaluated. Main thing is each ball game, but there's also another method to the madness in respects to that evaluation moving forward. So we've got to keep improving, and competition is one of the ways you do that. Keep it competitive.
How's the Mike position play out right now? Obviously at Ashton there.
All 3 of those guys will get some reps this week. Cass will get some more reps, and we'll see how ready he is to stand in front of a huddle and manage it, make calls, and do the things that a middle linebacker has to do.
Can you take some of that off of him?
We can take some of it off, Philip, but there's just there's a lot of it he has to do. But yeah, in game plan we can take some of his communication responsibilities away, but it doesn't. He's still got a plate that requires a lot from him. Plate full of food, does for sure.
If he moves ahead, what would Jake's role be?
Backup. Mm-hmm.
You said that players have to prove that they're ready for that opportunity to get on the field. What have you seen out of Casanova McKenzie to get him more reps?
Well, we've seen a player getting more and more comfortable in the college game. And every freshman that comes in is a little bit different in how they adapt to the environment of big-time college football, and then the volume of practice, and sometimes the coaching pressure and all those things that are different to a lot of players. And he had a slow start in respects to all those things. So again, we've been seeing him graduate, get better, evolve. We got him into the Arkansas game late against some 22 personnel, and we'll give him a shot this week, during practice here, and just again see how he handles it. He's got a long way to go. He has a long way to go.
How was along those lines? How is Chris Frost progressing? And is he a guy that could get in there as well?
He could. Again, he's coming along. I wish the process were faster for Chris, but it's just not. But I like what I see for him in the future. I mean, he works hard at it on the field. He's still learning how to see the big picture of football and see the game in the classroom, and still learning about physical leverage on blockers and all those things. But he's got some good physical traits, good size. He runs well. But the process of the game still is one that he's in a battle against. But he's working against it. But he could see more action here in the second half of the season.
Would you anticipate playing 3 linebackers a lot more in this game?
Well, again, Darren's been, fairly productive for us at the will position. Been very productive in terms of tackles and things. So I think for the most part, his position has been, solid in respects to that, all year. So really, you're looking at the Mike linebacker. Position.
I'm sorry.
In base, Johnny's been kind of holding down the Sam linebacker position, and we'll play more base in this game, so you'll see more of him.
When you look at Vandy on offense, what kind of jumps out to you about the way they do things?
Well, running back and receiver jump out fast, at you. Those are two really good SEC players. I like their overall execution level. I think what they do it over and over consistently. So they're very well coached. The big thing with Vandy is they do a lot with personnels and formations and the wildcat and some unbalanced work, and so they really make you work in preparation for them. And statistically, they maybe haven't scored as many points, but their rushing average and overall total offense and all is pretty impressive with respect to what they've done, and even what they did to Florida last week. They had a couple of big plays called back, and so they're a good football team, and they're a difficult preparation, that's for sure.
As you do your weekly evaluations, the past couple of weeks, which positions specifically have you kind of gained a comfort level with and confidence with?
Well, I think that our two safeties have been, fairly solid. Feeling better about those two, who again have a lot. They have a lot going into every game from a communication standpoint and all. And Demetrius is really coming around, and Jermaine's been real solid with that. But they do some things that probably most fans, wouldn't see in a game in respects to even some coverage things that they did again on Saturday. I wish the deep ball, one of them needed to make a play there and really would have, felt better about their game. But feeling a comfort level from those two, maybe. I shouldn't say a comfort level. I'm feeling better about them. They both need to get better, and they both want to get better. But I like those two are ascending in my mind.
To expand a little bit on Demetrius, starting off the season, not a starter, starts off by commenting that he felt that there was some trust issues on the coach's part in him, and now certainly has gained that. What's gone on really over the last month or so from him that you've seen that we aren't seeing?
Well, I think that he was, I think our style of leadership is maybe a little bit different for him, coming in. And you know, he had to just make a look at it and make a decision in terms of what he controlled and what he needed to do, and he's done a good job in recognizing that, and then, you know, really moving his way into the starting lineup, and from there, I think the physical traits, you know, show up, especially the trait of, you know, his hustle on the field. I mean, he runs the field really well, and he's very competitive, and that's something as coaches we really appreciate. He's still in the learning phase of the game, trying to do the things that, from a football standpoint, the safety position, take experience and take time, but, you know, he's working at it. His body language out of practice is way different than it was, you know, in the beginning. His preparation habits are much better. You know, he's come a long way, and I really respect, again, from him, because early on, I wasn't sure if he was going to respond. He has, and I think that's a good thing, and now we've got an ascending player, so.
Is Enrique Florence a guy that's still going through that process, that Demetrius?
I think that's probably fair to say. You know, he's had some, you know, some nicks and things that have really held him out of practice, and, you know, kept him from getting some of the work that he really needs to get. You know, we've been trying to establish more of a role for him. He's got some very good physical trait. And, you know, we've had him active in our 30 sub package the last few weeks, and then a little bit in our base package against 22 personnel. So, you know, again, he's improving, getting better. We've got to keep him out there on the field practicing and, you know, working at his game.
So, next question about the Razy. Same question, just where he's kind of staying.
You know, Caddy's kind of right now, his role is to play corner for us against, you know, 22 personnel looks. He's probably our most physical corner, and so we want to, you know, take advantage of that. I think when, you know, we get splits and those kinds of things, then, you know, that's where really he still really needs a lot of work. He's out in the space area and working his game, but, you know, he's still a very young player to me. I know he played last year as a freshman. He's a young player learning with some real physical traits in the physicality area, you know. So, again, I remain optimistic about him and his future. Right now, his role is to play for us against 22 personnel.
When you say 22, you mean 2 tight ends?
Yeah.
Brian,
You guys don't know that lingo, huh? No.
I thought it did, I wasn't sure.
Brian, Pat Dye was some comments yesterday just about the program with kids yesterday. If not
Pat Dye?
Yeah. If not speaking necessarily about him, but just in general, how do you approach when someone who's very notable to a program, you know, talks about particularly the players like that?
I'm not familiar with what Coach said, so, you know,
Just speaking to lack of production at just a lot of different positions on the field.
Well, I mean, again, you have to respect what Coach Dye says. You know, he carries a different knowledge, you know, in respects to the game. But, you know, being inside every day, you know, with the players, again, there's not a lack of effort in terms of our players. And again, I can only speak on the defensive side of the ball, but there's not the effort level has continued to grow for us. But having said that, maybe in fairness, you know, we don't like where it was and where we were at the starting line. And really, you know, our season, as you look at it, and you look at the scores, you know, going into the fourth quarter, you know, we've played some respectable ball, but the fourth quarter's not been. And again, I'm talking about our defense. I don't really know what our offense is doing. That's not my job, and I trust those guys in doing what they do. But you know, we played some good ball. Explosive plays have still, you know, been a major problem for us. But in the fourth quarter, you know, looking at score starting with Clemson, I think it was a 16-16 game. You know, LSU, I think Arkansas was a 10-7 game. you know, we've been there, and it's that, you know, player production in the fourth quarter that you just, you know, we gotta keep researching and find out the reason why. But that's lacking, you know, that's lacking. But in terms of our kids ascending, our kids are getting better. They're working at it, and again, that's where I need to, you know, keep my concentration. And you guys have an opinion, and again, I respect Coach Dye's opinion and whatever he says, and he comes and talks to me, and I have total respect for what he says, but I think I have a pretty good grip in terms of where it is and where it needs to go.
Is that constant contact there with Coach Dye, with him and coaches?
Yeah, coaches around, absolutely, and you know, I love hearing from him. I love hearing his opinion. He's one of the great ones, you know.
Does the defensive line need to get more consistent pass rush? The last couple of games, the sacks have come from linebackers and secondary.
Yeah, it's been kind of a couple of weird games, you know, in respects to Arkansas, who, you know, was throwing the ball quick, a lot of quick game, and then this last game, very strange in that we had 3 3rd and 16, you know, situations where we chose really to play coverage, which was the right decision, other than a tackle. But we rushed 3 and played coverage in those scenarios, and then, you know, you had a pressure and a chunk ball that, you know, the quarterback looked at it, then looked away, didn't think it was there, and then came back and threw it. And, you know, we had a little bit of pressure in that scenario. We ran, you know, a couple pressures where we had a free runner and we didn't tackle him, and we ran another pressure and sacked him. Outside of that, there just wasn't a lot of, you know, situations where we were in a rush front, rushing the passer in 3rd down that maybe in fairness to judge our pass rush, it just last couple of games, maybe it hasn't been there. But having said that, it's not anywhere near what it needs to be, especially from the defensive tackle position. It's just not. There's no other way to state it. I saw some things from Gabe Wright on Saturday that indicated, again, ascending player in pass rush. So that would be a good sign. You know, we've got to have a guy that we're counting on for big plays in Corey. You know, Corey's got to be more productive. That's, you know, bottom line. And of course, we're without D. Ford right now, our other defensive end that can rush the passer. But, you know, D and Corey are different than the other guys in respects to where they are in a pass rush. And those guys just, you know, the other guys got to get a lot better. They know it.
Anything else for Coach?
Appreciate it, Brad.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Y'all have a good night.